Hello, STA. Can I get an STA? I'm just kidding. But I am JD De La Cruz. This is the SNN podcast. And today I'm going to be talking about childhood memories with John Thatcher himself. So let's invite him in.
Oh my god, I can see you now.
I know. Isn't that wonderful?
Now, 1 second. Let me close the window before the Mormons hear us.
Hello, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm so tired.
That's great to hear.
I know. Isn't that great to hear? Now, today we're going to be talking about childhoods. Did you have one?
Unfortunately, yeah. And
I
I just want to say before we get back into this, thank God we weren't a part of cancel culture after our first one. I thought we were with our week layoff, but we're back. So
I know. We didn't participate in the canceling of culture. We are part of culture now because there's no stopping the SNN podcast. We are the hype train that will never stop.
Until it hits, this is the paradox of the unmovable object and the unstoppable force, which will stop which.
The Joker.
What?
The Joker.
Was that in the new movie? I haven't seen it.
No, I was just Batman reference. You know how it is.
Which Batman? The
Heath Ledger.
That was in that one?
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's funny. That's it's the only movie I've ever bought to have on my phone to watch at any time, downloaded. Never realized that was in there.
You downloaded The Dark Knight on your phone?
Yeah, it takes up a lot of space too.
I imagine so. I am a man of culture, and I have the Lego Movie downloaded on my phone. So,
who's the main actor in that? Wasn't it
Chris Pratt?
Chris Pratt is the main Lego guy?
Yes, he is Emmett Brakowski.
Oh, I was thinking of the Batman Lego series.
That is Will Arnett.
Yeah,
Also
that's
a
what I was
good
thinking
film.
of. Yeah, the Reese's peanut butter guy. His best work, in my opinion, of voicing the Reese's peanut butter commercials.
Well, before we start an animation controversy, let's get down to some interview questions. So, John, what were you like when you were a child?
I mean, I very much still feel like a child, if I'm being honest, even though I'm technically a man, which is scary.
You're technically a man. When was your birthday?
December 12th. JD, I gave you a cookie that day, remember?
Oh, my God! That's right, and you almost made Mr. Granados cry with your cookies.
I mean, I do that every day, so
I know.
That wasn't why it was special. But you broke your veganhood to
Yeah, I gave up my psychic powers to have one of your delicious cookies.
And that's a Scott Pilgrim reference.
Yeah. See, you're a man of culture as well. I see.
I mean, I think we both are. That's why we're there's one other student in Michael Ambach here who's created a podcast. That's why we're doing this, because we're men of culture, right?
We're the most cultured men at Saints. As you can see by my void of nothingness and your wall of hats, we are.
Yeah, all 62 of them.
That's an impressive number. I have like a stack of hats. It's not as much, but they might be just as interesting.
The fun part about the hats, I don't even wear hats anymore.
Yeah.
It was probably freshman year, sophomore year when I built up my collection. And if I wear anything, it's a beanie like I'm wearing now. So they're kind of just there collecting dust. Every once in a while, I put one back up on the wall because they'll fall off and I just don't use them so I don't notice it. But anyways, as a child, I'd say I was probably pretty shy. I think I still am a shy person today. I don't like to talk a lot unless I get to know you. So I know that's
see that. I can see it.
I hate talking to people if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is what they should do to make people not antisocial. Just create a podcast. Put yourself out there.
That is what antisocial people do, because Look at that. There's so many podcasts out there. I just listened to a podcast about a podcast, which is a podcast about setting up a microphone, which is the new setup I have here today. I tried to, spice it up, give the boys something to look at, something that's nice to the eyes.
You spiced it up with a black background and a red light. Red light district in the De La Cruz home.
And the blue light.
Yeah. I didn't see that. It's what is that called? It's like looking at you with the 3D goggles right now between the red and the black or blue.
Yeah. I need to get a better blue light, but this is the red light. It's a nice contrast. I could throw in a little bit of this, and then down here, ooh, see, mysterious. Oh, now it's even.
Now it's a little purple. Now it looks like what's that Star Wars lady called? The Akatia Wells one I was talking to you about.
Ray?
Yeah, that one and the cover where it's like the balance between the light side and the dark side.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with what you just said, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, I thought it was a very straightforward statement, but
it is. Yeah, you're right, because only Star Wars is about good versus evil and nothing else.
Well, I was just saying with the poster cover, I don't know why you have to attack me on.
No, I'm not attacking you. It's just people get so heated about stars. It's like, oh, she's very bad at using her magic powers. Like, she needs to be a dude. And it's like, well, this is a movie about space wars with laser swords. So
yeah, I mean, people get really mad when watching the new Star Wars, but you're paying to see the same thing over and over again. And it's like, why don't you stop your fandom for like a little bit? So Disney is actually like, yeah, we can just mass produce these Star Wars movies. If you like show like, hey, I'm not going to watch the same thing over and over again, which, they're going to continue to do, then they might be like, oh, I'll switch it up. I'll make a better product.
That's why, have you heard of Taika Waititi?
Yes, of course. We talked about him with JoJo Rabbit.
Yeah, he got hired to do a Star Wars movie.
About which character?
I have no idea, but it's going to be interesting.
Oh, he's an interesting because it's he's not the traditional Hollywood guy by any means.
Oh yeah.
But then again, Hollywood has definitely seen Hollywood is still very old Hollywood in a sense, but you're seeing more integration.
It's changing now. It's like going through something. It's like a edgy teenager, but that's also becoming cool again.
Yeah, I mean, Billie Eilish is probably the greatest example of the edgy teenager trending. I think she is the first person since Christopher Cross to sweep the 4 major categories at the Grammys. And that was in 1979, I believe. So
79.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I don't know what happened in 1979 outside of Christopher Cross winning 4 Grammys.
There's probably a lot of other stuff going on in 1979.
I doubt it. I think important things started to happen when I was born.
That is true, because that's when we experienced them.
Yeah, I know, but you take that out and you miss so many other things.
Yeah, like being a child, which is what this podcast is about.
Aren't podcasts about not being on track, though?
This podcast should be instead retitled to SNN Gets Off Track for the 7th time.
I mean, we're a train that's derailed and it's not stopping because there's no...
We're the derailed hype train. The hype train has exited the station and derailed. This is the new title of the podcast, Derailed Hype Train.
I want to see Supreme make a train set and it says hype on each little train car. So it's the Supreme hype train set. And it's like, can you imagine like Jay-Z's going to have that going around his Christmas tree and Baby Blue and Beyonce?
Have like 4 of them.
Yeah.
Just need to charge like $1 million for it.
Can you imagine that you're at a Migos concert and the Supreme hype train just goes across the stage?
I can't even imagine myself at a Migos concert, so I would love to see that. I would go to a Migos concert just to see a Supreme hype train.
I would go to a Migos concert to leave my house right now, and I don't like the Migos.
Same.
Yeah, big facts.
I would go outside and pay taxes.
Well, I already have to pay taxes. When you turn 18, you have to start doing that.
Did you get hit with the bills already? Get slammed by the IRS?
Yeah, $2
Oh
was
boy,
my, yeah, I was making a lot of money this last year with my income. So $2 of taxes. It's a
dang.
sign of thing. We can only get better. We can
It
only go higher,
it
right?
only go. It's only up from here and also downhill.
I mean, yeah. So uphill is your childhood, and now it's downhill.
Hmm.
See, I just gave you a segue to get back on
I
topic.
know. So, what as a child? What was your favorite game to play? Like video game, board game, imaginary game?
Um, that's tough. So the first video game I played was probably Minecraft, which I think is
That's a good
the
choice.
I think it's the greatest starter video game as its creativity mainly. Like schools in Sweden actually have Minecraft as part of its curriculum
I
for
know some
architecture
schools
and
in the
design.
U.S. are putting it in as well.
Well, yeah, I think it's really good because it's an expression in a very simplistic, basic form
It's very
that anyone,
intellectual.
yeah, and you can also do it with other people through servers and there's fun games and stuff. Moving away from that, I think Modern Warfare 3 was probably my first Xbox game I played, and then all the Call of Duties since then, and then obviously like Madden and FIFA now. So basically, this whole quarantine period, I've been grinding FIFA. Haven't forgotten to do schoolwork. Sometimes I have, but it's for a good cause.
Yeah, FIFA's the best cause out there.
I mean, the cause to cure Corona, I think right now is probably the best cause out there.
That
But
too, but
yeah, well,
right below that, FIFA.
I meant to ask you this
Yes.
with your childhood.
Yeah.
Were you always like the theater arts person, or did you
No.
have? Oh,
No,
where'd
not
you
at
start
all.
off at?
I read books by myself a lot.
I mean, there's no problem with that.
I know, but like I would bring books everywhere. I would bring it to the dinner table. I would bring it like at recess. I remember this very vividly. I was sitting on like so we had recess on the street or in the parking lot for some reason. This was Our Lady of Grace. Shout out to the
Okay.
OLG homies. But I'd sit on the curb with like four books and I get through like three of them in like 20 minutes because I was just a hungry reader, voracious appetite for reading.
Are these like actual books? Like
Yes.
they're not like the little blue books you get to test yourself and you move up
No,
in color
no,
as you
I
get
had
the.
like I had like Percy Jackson. I had like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I had what else? It was some book about the Hitler Youth.
Same.
Yeah,
Um,
as a 12-year-old Filipino kid, I loved the reading about the Hitler Youth.
well, it's not necessarily you just being a 12-year-old Filipino kid. It's about being a 12-year-old Filipino kid in Santee, growing up in Santee.
The reading about the Hitler Youth. It was interesting. I read about this one story about like it was about this German boy and this Jewish girl that grew up in the same town, had wildly different lives during World War II. One dude was like 15 and he was like a commander of a whole regiment of child soldiers and they killed people. And then like the Jewish girl, I feel like I don't have to elaborate much on that, but she survived.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do you think Hollywood and our fascination with World War II will die? Because I feel like I've seen the
There
same movie
there's
over and over
more
again.
pieces about World War II than the actual how long the actual war was. Like,
I like how we're starting to branch into World War One, which I personally, as a fan of history and social studies, I think is much more interesting than
but
World
then
War
that
Two.
train's going to continue on too.
I think it's good though because the first two World War One movies we had were Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, solid.
I think was the best movie of this decade.
Wait, that was World War II. Dunkirk.
No, it's World War One.
No, it's World War II because I
Oh
know
no,
this because they here I'll show you.
wasn't Dunkirk World War One?
No, they just use the same uniforms the British.
Now I'm looking it up. Oh, it was?
Yeah,
I feel so betrayed.
but
Maybe
it's
this is why we'll never stop making World War II movies.
yeah because